our time. You already know, I ain't gotta tell them why. Get your hands to the sky. Get your hands to the sky. Yeah. Ain't no glory for the faint of heart. We all stars, win or lose, we don't play the part. And when the going getting tough, I get to going hard. You bring your best and you know I'ma tear them apart. We been in survival, rival. I ain't got no time for anyone who ain't put in the work that I do. You ain't heard about it, think I'm gonna remind you. I've been out here doing what I say, it's what defines you. This is our time, hands to the sky. You already know, I ain't gotta tell them why. Hands to the sky, this is our time. You already know, I ain't gotta tell them why. This is our house. Yeah, and we can't put it down. This is our house. We go around, come around. This is our house. Hands to the sky. You already know, I ain't gotta tell them why. This is our house. Yeah, and we can't put it down. This is our house. You could doubt us, that's fine. But know one thing, real legend don't die. You could doubt us, that's fine. But know one thing, real legend don't die. And we ain't gonna leave till we win. It's 10 out of 10. Y'all, they can't believe what they see. And they telling a friend, yo, we'll pay the rent. This is our house, we beat them all down. Energized by the crowd, they're saying it now. This is our time, hands to the sky. You already know, I ain't gotta tell them why. Hands to the sky, this is our time. You already know, I ain't gotta tell them why. This is our house.
Welcome to the Niner Sickness Podcast. What's up?
What's up, everyone? What's up, everyone? How's everybody doing today? Hope everyone is having a wonderful, wonderful day. I am your boy Niner Sickness with another Niner Sickness Podcast coming at you on Tuesday morning, 11:15 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. We're going to talk 49er football. We're going to talk Niners secondary, and we're going to have a blast. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show right after this. All right, guys, welcome back. Welcome back. I am just sending out some notifications, so please bear with me. I am sending some notifications, let people know that I am on and ready to rock and roll. How's everybody doing today? I hope everyone is having a fabulous, fabulous Tuesday morning. Thank the Lord Almighty that we were able to wake up this morning and enjoy life, even if you're back at work. At least you have the ability to say, I have a job, and let's be grateful for everything that we have and not take things for granted. So today we're going to talk about the Niners secondary. Yesterday, if you saw my show, we talked about the front four. I brought up a discussion of the front four. Does the front four help out the secondary, or does the secondary help out the front four? Now, I understand they both complement each other, but the question is, if you had to put your resources, your money, if you needed a couple of all-stars, where would you prefer them? Like, for example, Nick Bosa, he's an all-star on the defensive line, but we don't have a typical Nick Bosa at the corner. I love Charvarius Ward, Lenore, great capable corners that does a lot for the San Francisco 49ers, but they're not your Nick Bosa powerhouse shutdown corner. So the real question is, would you rather have a Nick Bosa at defensive end and have what we have at the secondary, or would you rather have a top-notch corner and have not bad, but no dogs really on the defensive line? Now, in the real world, before the salary cap, we had the privilege to have both. Many of you were not born during the non-salary cap, so you did not get to really enjoy seeing two Hall of Fame quarterbacks on the same team like Joe Montana and Steve Young. I doubt it that in this time with the salary cap, we will ever see two Hall of Fame quarterbacks on the same roster, one sitting right behind the other. Now that the salary cap is real, you got to allocate your money to certain positions, and you got to figure out where do you want your top dog to be. Now, this year we brought in some free agents, some extra help. We drafted a corner with the second pick overall in this year's draft. We have Nick Bosa. We have Hargrave. I really believe that Hargrave is really going to shine in 2024. I know a lot of you guys written him off. You know, he's a bust. He's not as good as he was in with the Eagles. Put on your seatbelt, relax, get your popcorn ready. I believe that Javon Hargrave is going to give you a run for your money. But let's talk secondary. The secondary is vital to this defense. Now, we brought in Brandon Staley, who's going to take over and help out in the secondary. We all know that Steve Wilkes, one of his strength was helping out the secondary. Our secondary improved. Can the secondary be better this season? Before I go on, let me just say hello to Jimmy. What's up, Jimmy? He says, what's up, Beto? Good morning, sir. Everyone, please smash that like button. Appreciate and subscribe. Good morning, sir. Good morning, everyone. If you're watching, make sure to say hello. Type in the text, say hello. I would appreciate it very, very much. So we're talking secondary this year. I'm excited for the 2024 season. I think the draftees that we drafted this year are going to be players that Kyle finally is going to start some rookies because of their experience in college. But what position in the secondary do rookies have a chance to start? I was looking at every position, both offensively and defensively, and I was looking at spots where can a rookie start? Now, a lot of people are highly on Ricky Parcell. They're like, this guy, if he is what the Niners hope he can be, he'll get some playing time, but will he really be a starter? He's not going to start over Deebo Samuel. He's not going to start over Brandon Ayuk. He'll be your third receiver. He'll probably come in, God forbid, if one of the receivers gets hurt, he'll come in and substitute for them. But he's not going to be your ideal starter this year. Now, on the secondary, could Renardo Green push himself to that starting lineup? Now, we brought in some free agents. We're going to talk about them. Could this rookie beat out some veterans? Now, we know Lenore, whether Lenore plays outside or inside, he is your starter. We know that Charvarius Ward, while he's here, he is your starter. But who's going to be that third corner? Luter is still learning. Womack, the third, I mean, he hasn't really done anything to help himself. So who will be that third corner, that trio with Charvarius Ward and Lenore? Now, let's talk about the kids that we brought in. We brought in Isaac Yodom. We brought in Rock Ya-Sin. It's going to be interesting to see camp this year. I really want to see what transcends in the secondary, because your starters are Charvarius Ward. Hold on real quick. Your left corner is Charvarius Ward, and your right corner will be Lenore. Do they keep Lenore outside? I would love to see what Renardo Green can do in the slot. Move Lenore back out to the outside and move Green in the inside. Listen, Emery Thomas occasionally here and there has shown that he can play, but the kid gets burned way too many times. Do you really feel comfortable going into 2024 season with Emery Thomas being that third corner? Absolutely not. This is why the Niners brought in Isaac Yodom, brought in Rock Ya-Sin, and drafted Renardo Green to this defense, because they lost their faith in Emery Thomas. Emery Thomas might not even make the roster this offseason. It's going to be a fight for him. Now, you got your starter, Charvarius Ward. You got Lenore. If you keep Lenore inside, then I can see Isaac Yedem on the outside, opposite of Charvarius Ward. But if you decide to move Lenore outside, I can see the Niners moving Renardo Green in the middle. This is why camp preseason is going to be interesting, at least to me, this year, because I want to see where Lenore is going to play and who's going to be that third corner. The front four relies on the secondary, and the secondary relies on the front four. If the secondary can cover, if they can shadow receivers, this means the quarterback has to hold on to the ball a bit longer than they want to hold on to the ball. And that means that your pass rushers can get there and do their job. Vice versa, if your pass rushers are dominating the front line, if they're pushing the offensive line back, if they're getting to the quarterback, if they are disrupting the quarterback's play, that will eventually lead to interception for your corners and safeties. Now, we spoke about the corners. Let's talk a little bit about the free safety and the strong safety. The free safety right now is Jair Brown. His backup is George Odom. Taylor Hopkins, and Jalen Mahoney as it sits right now. For your free safety, you got Talon Hofanga, who is still questionable whether he'll be available week 1. And if he is, what would his plan be coming off an injury that he has suffered? So it is Talon Hofanga, your starting free safety. You got Malik Mustafa, and you got Eric Harris as the third safety. Now, this kid, Malik Mustafa, I have been hearing nothing but good things about him. Now, I understand it's only OTAs, no pads on. Nobody's tackling, nobody's hitting. So you can't really say too much about OTAs, right? But this kid is built to be a safety. If Malik Mustafa is able to start and help out this defense, between him, Jair Brown, and Hufanga, this safety set is going to be crazy. I'm excited. I don't know about you guys, man, but I'm fired up about the possibilities of these safeties and corners really getting together and making this secondary much better than it was last year. What's up, 49er fan 26? Niners need to win the Super Bowl this upcoming year in football. I hear you, brother. I hear you. They need to win a Super Bowl. But this is why the Niners are doing what they're doing in the secondary. This is why they brought in Rocky Sin. They brought in Isaac Adom. This is why they drafted Renardo Green. They are trying to continue to build, not only for today, but for the future. Listen, reality is that if Charvarius Ward has another Pro Bowl year, now I'm not saying the Niners couldn't afford to pay him. I think a lot of people don't understand the contracts, don't understand how the contracts are worked. A lot of times you see what they're going to get. Like so-and-so gets $83 million or gets $90 million. But if you don't see the breakdown, how much bonuses are they getting? Are they breaking that bonuses in 5 years or 4 years? What is the cap hit each year? Is it low for the first couple of years? All that takes place to help out to sign top players. Like all I've been hearing, and I'll come back to the secondary in a minute. All I've been hearing is, man, Debo, it can be Debo's last year as a 49er. And that's possibly true. But it doesn't mean that if the Niners want Debo, they can't afford him. This is a misconception people have because of the contracts. Wow, yeah, but Niners sickness, they're going to have to sign Brock Purdy next year. They're going to sign Brandon Ayuk this year. True. All of that is true. But we got to look at the structure of the contracts. We got to look at the contracts and how it's played out. You can't just look at the number and assume we can afford somebody. If Brandon gets a 4-year deal, depending on what the bonus is and how they break it down, if he's not a huge cap hit the following year, you got to remember, you got to keep contracts under the cap. So based on the cap number, defines whether a player can be here or not the amount they make. It's all about the cap. So just because a player gets certain amount of money, like Nick Bosa, for example, let's look at Nick Bosa. Give me 1 second. Let me bring down, let me look at the over the cap for Nick Bosa. What's up, David McNider? Crazy Juice. I see you guys. Let me say hello real quick. Crazy Juice. I see you, my friend. How are you doing? David McNider's in the house. How you doing, sir? Good to see you, my friend. Good to see you. Give me 1 second, guys. All right, give me 1 second. Do. All right, here we go. All right, so let's look at over the cap. Let's look at the Niners. Where's the Niners at? All right, so Nick Bosa, cap hit. His cap hit this year is going to be $14 million. $14 million cap hit. Now remember, he's getting $34 million a year, but his cap hit is only $14 million. Okay. What is let's see, let's look at real quick at, give me a second. In 2025, Nick Bosa is going to be 20 against the cap. Now, this is a top defensive end, but let's look at Debo. Debo's 2024 is the cap number is 28. Now, if they bring him back next year, they're going to give him a new contract. That's going to drop the cap. That's going to drop the cap. So understand that just because the Niners signed a player to a certain amount, it depends on what the signing bonus is and what is the amount against the cap. So I say all that to say this, very simple. If the Niners sign Brandon Ayuk, which they will, and they sign Brock Purdy, and if they decide that, you know what, Debo had an exceptional year in 2024, and Debo still has it in him to give them 2 to 3 more years of great play, the Niners can make it work. A lot of people were talking about the Rams, how the Rams were, over this, they were up in salary, and yes, they lost some players because of that, but they were able to draft rookies. And the ideal thing, now, we all know the draft is a crapshoot. We all know that you can either hit or miss. Now, the Rams have been getting lucky in hitting some potential players like Puka Nakua, a 5th-round receiver. Now, this will be his second year. We kind of have to have an idea what he's going to be. But he had one hell of a year. If he hits, they got that receiver. The guy Turner and the defensive line and Young are 2 young, promising players. They drafted 2 players from Florida State this year, and Vera and Fix. So the Niners, if they continue to, for example, let's say Malik Mustafa hits, and Talanoa is too expensive. If he has a Pro Bowl year, they can replace him with Mustafa. It is about how you draft. And the Niners are always trying to draft not only for now, but to develop and for the future. And the Niners, John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan, have a great formula how they make it work. I mean, Brock Purdy is an exception because the Niners hit the lottery. You know how hard it is to win the lottery? I know many of you I don't play the lottery, but many of you do. And the people do win. But you know what your odds are to winning the lottery? What are the odds that the Niners gave up 3 number ones to move up to get a quarterback like I forgot his name, number 5. I don't mean no disrespect to the young man. His name just slipped my mind. And then the Niners went ahead and drafted Brock Purdy in the 7th round. How lucky can you get? How lucky can you get? It doesn't work out with your top flight quarterback, but yet you go and draft a 7th round in Brock. Now, they like Brock, but they were not sold out on Brock, okay? People, Niner fans, are like, yeah, they knew what they were doing when they took Brock. Did they? Really? Because for what I saw, they took him with the very last pick in the 7th round. That means all 32 teams passed up on him multiple times. He was 1 pick away from being undrafted. So all 32, including the 49ers, passed up on Brock Purdy multiple times. Now, Brock happened to be there. The Niners pulled the trigger, and the rest is history. Thank you, Jimmy. Trey Lance. Ooh, his name slipped my mind. No disrespect to Trey Lance whatsoever. But the Niners got lucky. Now, we got to get our defense back together. Last year, we had a top 5 offense. We can move the ball, we can score, but our defense started to lack, particularly in the run, stopping the run. The Niners went from top 3 against the run to 26. That is no bueno. No bueno. Going from the top 3 all the way down to 26 against the run. A lot of it was Steve Wilkes' coaching style. He was limited, though. I don't blame everything on him. Missing Hufanga was a big part that hurt us against the run. And ever since we got rid of DJ Jones, we have been struggling to plug in that hole. Could Kalia Davis, finally this year step up and handle the role of one DJ Jones? If Kalia Davis can stay healthy, if he can bring some production to that front line and stopping the run. But we did bring in Jordan Elliott, he's a great run stopper. So I'm excited about him. How good could this secondary be? How good could this secondary be? Do you think it'll be Lenore opposite of Sherrier's Ward? And maybe Green in the slot? Or do you think they keep Lenore in the slot and they put Isaac, Yodom, or I don't know how you pronounce it correct. If I'm mispronouncing it, I apologize, Isaac. And then they put him opposite of Ward. How good could this secondary be with a combination of Ward, Demo, and either Yodom or Green? And don't forget about Rock Sin. I know that he's kind of fallen through the cracks, but this kid can still ball. At the very end, right now, they have Embry Thomas as the second, right behind Lenore at right corner. Do you think that Embry Thomas is going to keep that spot? Or do you think he's going to lose it to Rock Sin or Chase Lucas? He's going to be battling out with Rock Sin, Chase Lucas. Green is going to be battling that spot with Isaac and Samuel Womack III. How many corners did we have on our roster last year? Do you remember? Do you guys remember going into 2023 season? How many corners did the Niners keep active? Because that's going to be interesting to see who is going to be in and who's going to be out. Does Embry Thomas get cut and signed to the practice squad? Does somebody come in, or do the Niners trade him for a 6th or 7th round pick? What will the Niners do with Embry Thomas? That is $1 million question. What will the Niners do? I like Embry Thomas. He does have potential, but the kid just gets blown up. I like him, but I don't trust him, if that makes any sense. So you got Trevarius Ward, you got Lenore. And right now, right behind Trevarius Ward is Renardo Green. Now, that's why they have him in the so-called depth chart before training camp, but that can change. Right behind him is Isaac, and then Samuel Womack is the 4th. And let me see here. Let me see something. You know what I noticed? They don't have, I just realized they don't have, why he's not on here is Luter. Is he on physically unable to perform? Interesting. Or is it a type? I'm on the ESPN. Could be a typo. Yep. They don't have Luter on here. So we have to wait and see with him. What's up, Jess from East Coast Red and Gold Podcast? And make sure to give her a follow. If you haven't already done so, make sure to give her a follow. She and her team on Wednesdays, they go live tomorrow. In fact, at 5 p.m., they're going to have Jeff Garcia as a special guest. So if you're interested to hear the mind of the Niners ex-quarterback, maybe he talks about the Giants, the comeback win against the Giants. If you want to get to know Jeff Garcia a little bit better, make sure to tune in to East Coast Red and Gold, for they will be hosting Jeff Garcia tomorrow at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8 o'clock Eastern, and Central, 7 o'clock. So make sure to follow them, give them a follow, subscribe to their channel if you haven't subscribed for already. There's 4 of them. They're great. They collab very well, and they have great guests. So make sure to give them a follow. Jess, get to see you. Get to see you, my friend. So it's going to be fun to see what the combination of those corners are going to be. Jess, if you want, put in the link of your channel so they can go and subscribe to your channel. How good do you think this defense can be in 2024? I know that they fired Steve Wilkes and they promoted Nick Sorensen as defensive coordinator, but they brought in Brandon to kind of assist them in the areas that he may struggle with, being a first-year defensive coordinator. Now, I have a question. When they brought in Robert Saleh, they kind of let him, even though Robert Saleh was his first year as a defensive coordinator, they kind of rode with him. When he left to the Jets to become the head coach, they promoted DeMeco Ryans, and they didn't bring any help. They just went with him. He was successful. And then he moved on to become the head coach of the Houston Texans. And then we went 1 year with Steve Wilkes. And now that we promoted Nick Sorensen, they felt the need to bring in Brandon Staley as a backup. Why is that? Why did they not bring anybody when they promoted DeMeco, but yet when they promote Nick, they felt the need to bring a backup that could potentially take over? Do they feel that Nick might be great, but he might also fail? And because this is a Super Bowl team, the pressure is on. Now, I understand when Robert Saleh came in, I wouldn't expect them to bring anybody to help Robert Saleh. The team was trash. When they took over in 2017, the team was trash. The team wasn't doing good. The expectations were not high. So Robert Saleh came in to try to rebuild this team. When D'Amico took over, there was a bit more pressure on D'Amico because the team had been better now. The team already had been to a Super Bowl in 2019, and D'Amico took over. And now with the promotion of Nick Sorensen, now we've been to 2 Super Bowls. How much pressure is that on Nick? So much so that maybe the Niners felt, let's go ahead and give him a chance, see what he can do, but let's go ahead and bring in a backup just in case. Just in case this is too much for one Nick. How do you guys think Nick is going to do? Obviously, we don't know. The season is not here yet. All right, but just as a gut feeling, how do you think Nick is going to do? Do you think because we're going to go back to the same structure and system that we have been running for years, it might be easy for Nick? Do you think he's going to struggle? Do you think that at any point we're going to see Brandon take over? The players are there. How good are the coaches going to be? If Nick Sorensen can be that coach, if he can be that DC that we want him to be, if he can be another D'Amico Ryans, man, with the offense that we have, with Brock Purdy, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, Ricky, Pearsall, McCaffrey, Kittle, Juice, and then you have a top-notch defense to go with that. If everything ties up and everything goes well according to what they're trying to do, and the main thing has to be, can they stay healthy? Now, I hear all the crap about teams that lose in the Super Bowl never make it back. And up to this point, it's been a true statement. It has been a true statement. All teams that have lost any Super Bowl have not made it back the second year. Prove me if I'm wrong. I could be wrong. Prove me is not the right word. Let me know if I'm wrong. But I think there hasn't been a team that lost in the Super Bowl that has made it back in the last, 20 years, if at all? Could the Niners be the first team to lose a Super Bowl and make it back and represent the NFC? They got the makeup. They didn't. Yes, they lost Eric Armstead, but they kept the core players. Deebo's still here. Brandon is still here. They kept the core players. This will be the 30th year for Brock Purdy. I think Brock Purdy is going to truly open his wings this year. I mean, listen, whether you're a Brock Purdy fan or not, that is your prerogative. But the reality is this. Last year, he had no offseason. No offseason because he was dealing with his injury. He did not have the rapport with the receivers. He wasn't working on timing. None of that. Why? Because he was rehabbing his shoulder. And the man came out in 2023 and broke a bunch of records. Threw for over 4,000 yards, 30 plus touchdowns. He was in the MVP conversation. And this is a man that only started 6 games the year before, came in with no offseason, and was able to accomplish everything that he accomplished. Now you're telling me that he's going to have a whole offseason? He's already at the OTAs building a rapport with the rookie, Ricky, with Debo. Eventually, Brandon will be added in there. As long as no injury takes place, Brock Purdy's going to have a complete offseason. And if he was able to do what he did last year with no offseason, why can someone believe that he's going to be worse rather than better in 2024 with a complete offseason? Yes, Brock Purdy lacks the strength, the arm strength, as people call it. Yes, he's not 6'3" or 6'4" quarterback. But what Brock Purdy is able to do with his processing power, the way he processes, his anticipation, the way he anticipates his receivers to make the play. So many times have I seen Brock Purdy throw the ball in the air when the receiver hasn't even made their break yet. If you watch the game, particularly the All-22, you're going to see that Brock Purdy lets the ball go before his receiver even makes his cut. He has great anticipation and belief in his playmakers. He processes pretty quick. He makes adjustments. Those are the things that are hard to build on quarterbacks. You can have the typical body frame. You can have the arm strength. But if you don't have it between your ears, now, Josh Allen, great quarterback. He has it all. Joe Burrow has it all. Enough said about Patrick Mahomes. He has it all. Justin Herbert, I don't know yet. I want to see more of Justin Herbert. But he looks like a top. Now, Lamar Jackson does wonderful things on the field. But there's no way you're going to tell me that his processing power is better than Brock Purdy. There's no way you're going to convince me that Lamar Jackson's processing power is better than Brock Purdy. Lamar Jackson, as great as he is, and I believe he'll be a first ballot Hall of Fame quarterback, and he might definitely be that if he gets a Super Bowl. Brock Purdy's a better processor. Now, Lamar can do things with his legs that Brock Purdy probably can't. But I'm so sick and tired of hearing the limitations of Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy doesn't have the arm strength. Brock Purdy's not tall enough. Blah, 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 blah. Brock Purdy is a smart quarterback. He processes very well. He throws with anticipation. The kid can make plays. And the kid is ice cold. How many games have you seen where he's staring at the barrel of a defensive player coming right at him, and the man doesn't flinch? Did you guys hear the the video clip. Oh, real quick. What's up, David Corona? Welcome to the show, my friend. Welcome. Did you guys hear the clip of Geno Smith? I don't know if it was last year, but they were able to capture Geno Smith shitting his pants when he was playing against the Rams. And Aaron Donald came straight at him. I don't know if you guys seen that video clip. I don't have it. Otherwise, I would show it. But I thought it was funny. Here comes Aaron Donald straight at Geno Smith. And he's like, I don't remember exactly what he said, so I'm not even going to try to quote it. But it was something to the effect of, oh, crap. Oh, shit. He was calling for his mama. Brock Purdy sits there and looks right into that defender and throws the ball. He don't even flinch. Those are strengths that a lot of quarterbacks don't have. So yes, he doesn't have the body, the typical body. Is that what he said, Jimmy? When Geno said, oh my God, I think that's what it was. That was hilarious, wasn't it? I believe he was in the shotgun and Aaron Donald came shooting straight through and Geno said, oh my God, I'm about to hit the floor. That's hilarious, man. I mean, it's real. I don't blame Geno. I don't blame him for saying that. Aaron Donald is coming straight at you. But my point that I'm trying to make is Brock Purdy doesn't do that. Brock Purdy sits, looks right at adversity. He looks right at those defensive players and throws the ball. And what Brock Purdy can do, a lot of quarterbacks cannot. So I am tired of hearing that he's not big enough, he's not tall enough, he's not worth $55 million. Maybe it's true. Maybe it's not. All I know is if he wins games, that's what I want in a quarterback. He's brought the Lions back. One of the knocks on Brock Purdy was he always plays with a lead. Isn't that what they said? Every freaking so-called expert would say, while Brock Purdy's defense is pretty damn good, they always play with the lead. What would happen if the Niners trail? Can Brock Purdy bring him from behind? That was one of the main things that was a topic last year and the year before. He did it against the Packers, and he definitely did it against the Lions. In the NFC Championship, he rallied his team back. And it wasn't that the defense stepped up. And yes, Brandon Ayuk catching that ball the way he did, bouncing off the defender, was awesome. But unless you didn't see what I saw Brock Purdy running and extending the plays with his legs. He willed himself to win that game. So he checked off that box. I don't understand why Wright from, I don't know what the name of the show that he's on. I forgot his first name, but I know his last name is Wright. The dude, he's a big Chiefs fan, and the dude just hates Brock Purdy. He says he doesn't, But the guy never has nothing positive to say about Brock Purdy. Nothing. Always negative. Nick, I think his name is Nick. Nick Wright, yes. He has nothing positive to say about Brock Purdy. He's always mentioning how Brock Purdy this, Brock Purdy can't do that, Brock Purdy is no good here. But all Brock Purdy keeps doing is winning games. He keeps winning games. He continues to do what he does. And I expect Brock Purdy to have a great year. I think he's our quarterback. I loved him ever since I seen him play against Miami when he took over for Jimmy. I immediately fell in love with Brock Purdy. Did I know too much about him in college? No. I knew of him, but I did not know a lot about it. I'm not even going to lie. But when I seen him step in against Miami's defense and did what he did, play the way he played, I'm like, oh crap. Oh crap. Did the Niners strike gold with this kid? Now I know why they kept him on the roster and they cut the guy that they guaranteed $2 million. $2 million. And they cut him when they paid him $2 million guaranteed. And they kept Brock because they were afraid that Brock would not make it or stay on the practice squad. And when I seen him come in against Miami and see him, the way he performed, the poise that he carries himself, the confidence that he has. I mean, he's been through a major injury and he came back, overcame that. He's been behind and he's brought his team back. He can't throw the deep ball. He's done that. Everything people say he can't do, he somehow, some way he has done it. But yet people don't believe in Brock Purdy. Now, I understand this whole show was about the secondary, and we spoke on the secondary, but I wanted to give Brock Purdy some props because the kid is a baller. He's a baller. And I think he's winning a lot of Niner fans over. I know there were a lot of Niner fans that like the structure of Trey Lance, the height, the arm strength. Now, do I wish that the mentality that Brock Purdy has between his ears was inside the frame of Trey Lance? Absolutely. If we can put Brock Purdy inside the body of Trey Lance, that's what we were hoping for when we drafted him. But unfortunately, it did not work out that way. And yes, I know we gave up 3 number ones, which was actually 2 number ones. I don't know why people say 3. We gave up 2 and we exchanged 1. And they put all their eggs in a basket. It didn't work out. Trey Lance hasn't played a lot of college football, and it showed. They were hoping he would be quick with his legs and, use his legs a lot like Josh Allen and then eventually develop his throwing. But when he couldn't even run as good as Josh Allen and he didn't have the ability to throw, the Niners were stuck. They're like, what are we going to do? We can't depend on his legs while we develop him. And his accuracy is not that good. Unless he's throwing it deep. The Niners found themselves in a dilemma. But they got lucky when they drafted Brock Purdy. And I know a lot of Niner fans were mad that the Niners gave up the capital that they did to get Trey Lance, and they feel that he did not get the fair chance. He wasn't showing enough in practice for the Niners to convince themselves he was worth keeping. And when they seen Brock Purdy do what he was doing, it wasn't a hard decision to move on. How many teams have moved up to get a quarterback in the first round? It failed. Pick up a quarterback in the 7th round and show up to a Super Bowl 2 years later. Two years later, they show up to a Super Bowl with the quarterback they took in the 7th round after giving all that capital to go and get Trey Lance. Now, we lost the Super Bowl and it sucks. It really, really does. It sucks. It stings. It hurts. But I guarantee this. If the Niners would have won that Super Bowl, if Brock Purdy would have hoisted that Lombardi trophy, none of you, not one iota, would have given about those picks we gave for Trey Lance. If we can keep it 100, not one of you would have gave a about those picks that we gave up for Trey Lance if Brock Purdy would have held that trophy up and high. Niner fans, myself included, we are spoiled. We are spoiled. Super Bowl or bust. Because of the excellence that the Niners are, it is Super Bowl or bust. Even though we had a great season, even though we've been to multiple championship games, we've been to 2 Super Bowls in 5 years, it's Super Bowl or bust. And I understand the whole damn goal is to win a Super Bowl. I don't lose sight of that. Every team doesn't go into the season, well, I just want to make it to the NFC Championship, unless you're the Dallas Cowboys. But every team goes into the season hoping they can make it to the Super Bowl and win it. Niners are part of that team. Am I settling for championships? No. Am I settling to going to 2 Super Bowls and losing? No. I want to win. But am I going to sit there and pretend like we're not good? I'm not going to do that either. I am proud to be a Niner fan. I am proud to show my tattoo no matter what. But when you win double-digit games, when you win your division back-to-back, when you destroy the Dallas Cowboys, for those that grew up in my era that hate the Dallas Cowboys, that was fun. When you come back and pull that game against Detroit to go to the Super Bowl, that was fun to watch. Maybe not for the first 2 quarters, but it was fun to watch. To be able to see your players, your favorite players, speak during media week before the Super Bowl is fun. Now, ultimately, it would have been icing on the cake if we would have finished, if we would have won the Super Bowl. Has Kyle made some mistakes? Yes, he has. But I believe that you learn through your mistakes. I know many of you are very impatient with Kyle. Many of you are upset, are fed up, are done with Kyle. Kyle chokes in the big one. Kyle can't get us over the hump. And some of your frustration is valid. But you got a coach that came in 2017. Every coach has their flaws. Ain't no coach perfect. Not even Bill Walsh was perfect. Every coach has their flaws. Would it have been ideal for Kyle Shanahan to get hired on 2017 and then take either Deshaun Watson or Patrick Mahomes in that year's draft? Yes. Would it have been smart for him to do that? Yes. Especially if you would have taken Patrick Mahomes. But he came in with a game plan. It didn't work out, but he came in with a game plan. I'm going to go after Kirk Cousins. I'm going to build the defense first and work it over to the offense. He had structure. Now, I think they settled when Jimmy Garoppolo came into play. What's his name? Belichick called the Niners, said, hey, we got Jimmy. Give us a second round. You can have him. I think that threw a wrench into the mix, and they got away from Kirk. Now, I'm not saying Kirk Cousins was the answer. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is they came in with a structure, with a game plan. Did it work out? No. But being here in 2017, making it to, remember, the team was terrible under the Tim Sulas, the Chip Kellys, the Mike Nolans, the Mike Singletaries. Don't forget about those coaches. Yes, we had a nice run with Harbaugh. But remember, Harbaugh took over a great team. He took over a team that had Bowman, Patrick Willis, and many great players. Did they have Vernon Davis? I don't remember, but they had a great team. And all Harbaugh had to do is put the pieces together and went to the NFC Championship and eventually made it to the Super Bowl. And that's hard to do. So I do give Harbaugh credit. But when Kyle came in and took over this team, he had to gut it out. He did not take over a great team that was being miscoached like Harbaugh. He took over a team that wasn't good. He had to gut it out. I think he only kept like 3 players from the original roster. He had to build it from the floor up. And he was able to get this team to the Super Bowl in 2 years. Think about that for a moment. I know we're very, what's the word I'm looking for? I said it earlier. Help me out here. Spoiled. We are very spoiled with 5 Super Bowls, Super Bowl bust mentality. Okay, I understand we don't care about the Cowboys. We don't. I don't care about the Cowboys. But the reality is, the Cowboys have not made it to an NFC Championship game in about 29 years, if not more. Forget about a Super Bowl. They have not seen, sniffed, or played in a NFC Championship game for over 28 years. With all the changes, with all the additions, free agency, draft, everything they do, they have not made it to an NFC Championship game. Here comes Kyle and John, they take over a team, they gut it out, they rebuild it, and in 2 years, they're playing in a Super Bowl? And remember, Jimmy got hurt in 2018, so he missed the whole year. We made it to multiple championship games, and then we finally made it to another Super Bowl last year. Did we win? No. Did it suck? Yes. Would I prefer to have won it? Absolutely. But I cannot deny the structure that Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch has built for this organization. I cannot deny how wonderful it is to watch 49er games now than it was when I was watching it with Chip Kelly's, the Jim Tonsulas of the world, the Mike Nolans. We take things for granted. I'm not saying to settle for championships. I'm not saying that. We got to win a Super Bowl. I want to win a Super Bowl. But as long as this team is competitive, as long as our coaches are doing whatever it takes to get the team to the NFC Championship and make it to the Super Bowl, there's always a chance. Now, a lot of people say that the Cowboys roster is good. But if I told you who has a better chance to make it to the Super Bowl, the Cowboys or the Niners, you will say the Niners. Even Cowboy fans will say the Niners. Even Niner fans will say the Niners. Hold on. We got to win the Super Bowl. We got to bring in that 6th Lombardi trophy. It's enough. Enough is enough with 5. I want to get 6. The last time we won a Super Bowl, it was the VHS was still out. I know all that. And I really want the Niners to win a Super Bowl because a lot of you guys that are born in 95, 96 and up hasn't truly experienced to see your team be champions of the NFL. You guys haven't experienced seeing Brock Purdy, Kyle lift up the Lombardi trophy and be the best of the best. You guys haven't experienced seeing your Niners in a parade in San Francisco. And I understand you guys are hungry. Those that are born 1995 and later are hungry for the opportunity to experience that feeling. And I want it more so for you guys than for myself because I got to experience all 5 Super Bowls. I got to experience all 5 parades. I saw the Steve Young lift up that trophy next to Jerry Rice. I saw Joe Montana, Bill Walsh lift up those trophies. I want you guys to enjoy the same experience. And as long as the Niners can continue to be productive, that opportunity could take place. I mean, again, I know I keep coming to the Dallas Cowboys, but it's the truth. I don't like the Dallas Cowboys anyway, so I don't care what the Dallas Cowboy fans say. But the reality is they've been trying to make it to the NFC Championship in over 28 years. We hired Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch, and then within 2 years, we experienced our seventh Super Bowl appearance under Kyle and Nick. Under Kyle and John. The Cowboys haven't even sniffed the championship game. Cowboy fans, they're not even, if I was a Cowboy fan, we make it to the playoffs. They were the second seed. And they get their butts kicked by Green Bay in the wild card game. They didn't even get past the wild card game. 2 years before that, they get beat up by the Niners. They haven't seen an NFC championship game. But yet, us 49er fans, we have seen the Niners in 5, 6, 8 NFC championships and 3 Super Bowl appearances since 2012. Don't settle for that, but recognize that we are relevant. We are relevant. We are good. We are competitive. We draft well. We go and get free agents that can come in and help this team. We are coached well. We have a great GM that has great relationships with other GMs. And I'm going to close the show with this. He's no longer the owner of the Washington, I'm going to say it, Redskins, because that's what he was at the time. Daniel Snyder, or Dan Snyder. He hated the Shanahans. Daniel Snyder hated the Shanahans, all because of Mike Shanahan when he was the head coach with the Commanders, the Redskins at that time, and Kyle was the offensive coordinator. And when the whole thing happened, when they left, Dan Snyder hated the Shanahans. But yet, John Lynch, because of his great relationships with people, was able to get Trent Williams from the Washington Commanders, from an owner that hated the Shanahans. Make that make sense. Dan Snyder hated the Shanahans, wanted never to help out the Shanahans, yet we got a great left tackle from them under Dan Snyder. That just shows the power of relationships. John Lynch, Kyle Shanahan are great in the front office. The Niners have a great roster. We are always competitive. We are always winning. We are always representing the NFC Championship. We're representing the Super Bowl. Let's get the Super Bowl in 2024. Let's win it for everyone that hasn't experienced it. But we are a great team. Be proud of your San Francisco 49ers because they are dominant. That 6th Lombardi trophy will come. It will come. All right, guys. Thank you for joining the show. Thank you for being part of the show. We will see you tomorrow at 11:15. Once again, we'll be talking linebackers. You guys have a wonderful day. Enjoy your Tuesday. Thank you for representing my podcast in the comments. Each and every one of you that showed up in the comments. I truly appreciate each of you. Let's go ahead and give you a hand of applause for that. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much. Continue to support the channel. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed already. Many of you are watching me on Facebook. which I appreciate. If you can please take a moment of your time. I know your time is very busy, and I respect your time, ladies and gentlemen. But if you can take a moment and just make your way over to YouTube, type in the search, Niner Sickness Pod, P-O-D. My podcast pops right up. Click on it, subscribe, help me grow on YouTube. Show me, it doesn't cost you anything financially, just a little bit of your time. So if you enjoyed my show, if you enjoy my rants, please go over YouTube, and you can continue to watch me on Facebook, but just go over to YouTube and hit that subscription for your boy, Niner Sickness. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I am out of here. Remember, make sure to tune in to East Coast Reading Gold tomorrow at 5 p.m. Jeff Garcia will be on the show. So come and hang out with us. We are out of here. Peace. Go Niners.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2,